Me cool off, I know, me go BRB. Me cool off, me go wash my face. Am I saying that? Yeah. Oh, this is what you give me can't play. I think that you can't play. That's how we put up when this is stuff we can't play. You get the notification, please?
All right, everyone. So, welcome once again to our session. I think we're going to begin the recording at this time. So, just wanted to make you aware of that. And so, yeah, let's begin the recording so we can begin at this time with our devotional segment first.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another session of technology and learning. And we're going to begin with our devotional segment first, and then we segue into our and for devotional today, we're going to share with you the Collinsworth family will share with you a devotional song. And then we have our friends there, Wake Up with Hope, will share with us a Bible promise for today. So let's head over to that segment right now.
Let me go mute. Chronicler. Few worries, I don't know. I'm a big artist. You must think you have drugs on you.
We can finally unmute now.
All right, a powerful reminder there from the
So-
Collingsworth family at what happened at Calvary. That gives us hope. Don't know about you, but every day
We can
that
finally
gives me
unmute now.
hope that no matter what is going on around us in this world of sin and darkness, that there is hope in Jesus Christ for what he did for us at Calvary. Let's now hear that Bible promise from our friends there at Wake Up with Hope.
Sure, our Bible studies will be such a blessing to you.
And we can't leave without sharing our daily Bible promise. And today's promise comes from Matthew chapter 5, verse 5.
It
Like
says,
the
"Blessed
teaching.
are the meek,
Thank you.
for they shall inherit the earth."
Amen. Friends, we hope you have begun this day with a smile and a heart full of gratitude. May God bless you. Let's pray together.
Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for life and hope because we know that there is no other name by which we may be saved but in your son's name, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior from sin. We thank
ya
you for the
playing, mommy?
hope that we have in Christ Jesus our Lord because we realize that there is nothing to look forward to in this world of sin. We thank you so very much for the ability that we have to learn. We ask you, Lord, to help us to even praise you in times when we don't even, things are going wrong and we feel like we don't have anything to give thanks. We don't feel like being grateful, but help us to show gratitude, thanking you for your mercy that is new every day. Let us look for the good and let us give you praise. We thank you for the ability that we have to learn. And as we engage in learning today, Lord, we ask you to bring new revelations to us. Help us to see things that we can do better and to
Face is
be able to
washed.
improve in this area of learning, technology and learning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mommy, I play something like this? Eh?
No.
Mommy, I eerie.
All right, so thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. And this is another session, or second session, really. We started on Monday. And so we're continuing to look at what we started. But just before we jump into that, just wanted to look at what you have been doing and what are some of the challenges that you have had so
Hi.
far. We would have looked at, of course, an introduction to technology and instruction, and we talked about some of those coursework that you have on Moodle, and some other things in terms of tools, technology, and so on. We also had some practice activities for you. And of course, yes, we would have talked about the two assignments, the two projects, the two discussion forums. And let me see now, where are you now in the scheme of things? How is it going for you so far? I see, Oshin, you're saying you had some issues, or you're having some issues there with Audacity. Okay. Um, yes, and I see two hands. I see Renis and also that's Anika,
Bonjour.
as well as Keon. All right, so let's
I'm
take
in
those
class.
hands in that order.
So, how was your guys' day? What did you do today? I'm gonna be on
Good
for like
afternoon.
3 hours.
Good evening. Sorry, everyone. So, issue I'm having is with Audacity. I downloaded it. I created the recording. However, when I tried to add or import the music file, it's saying that the format isn't correct, and I'm not sure what format I should use. I've tried to change from MP3 to some other ones, but then that still doesn't work. So I'm not sure how to do that.
All right, good question. So let me hear again. You are trying to import a audio file inside
Yes,
Audacity.
yes. For the
Okay.
second portion of the assignment.
Mhm.
However, there is a particular format that it must be in, but I'm not sure what that is because it's not MP3 or MP4. But I'm not sure what
MP3 should work.
it
MP3
doesn't.
should work. Well, I'm not sure why you're getting that error in terms of it saying that that format is not working, because the file I used when I was showing you the background music, etc., is an MP3 file. So unless something else is wrong with the, maybe the file is corrupted, or it could be any type of reason. And the other thing too is where is this file stored? Was it something that's stored on your computer, or you're trying to access it from a remote or cloud-based location? Some of those idiosyncrasies may apply as well. So you probably
I
can
got
look into that.
this.
It's
Oh,
best
this
also
dark. Me
to
wonder
ensure
why
that the
this so
files you're
dark.
using are, I guess, maybe not
Better
copyrighted
now.
files. We talked about some of those copyright
Better
issues
now.
and so on and so forth as well. So maybe it's a case where it could even block some of those files if it realizes they're copyrighted, etc. Because I know YouTube, for example, will flag some things based on copyright issues and all of that. So those are some possible things you can look into to see what works. All right. If it
Okay,
doesn't
I'll
work, you
try
can.
again because what I did was I downloaded it from YouTube. So I use YouTube downloader. I
Mm-hmm.
download the
Yeah, me tell you
file
see I play up
and
this
then
for
I
me.
store it on my desktop. So
Okay.
Good
when I did
evening.
that, it would have been in
Jamaica.
MP4,
Speaks.
and then I would have tried to
Um,
import it that way, but it didn't work. What I also tried to
I
do
try to
was
keep up.
to use my
I'm gonna
phone,
sleep
record
it.
the music in Audacity, and then I saved it and tried to import it that way, but that too doesn't work.
Because remember, when you're saving files, you use the export option. Because if you save it, it's gonna
Oh.
save it as a project file, which is actually
Me
Audacity
pin that.
project file. This is gonna be huge,
Subscribe.
okay? So
Like
the
and
lightweight
share.
format, it gives you the export option. So use the export option, and it will actually save that file as an MP3 file.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. I'll try that.
Wonderful. You're welcome. All right, next person that I saw there, I'm not sure who that was. Again, can you just go ahead and share with us?
Good afternoon. That was me, but I'm not having any issues currently. Audacity was a little bit different and difficult to use. However, I'm up to assignment 1 and discussion 1.
Okay, I appreciate that. Uh, yeah, you know what? As we look at that continuum, right, in terms of moving from traditional to digital, or even for you, being able to utilize a lot more technology tools, hey, there's no problem in dabbling a little bit. I can always give you a little bit more time if you need it. So don't worry too much about that. Just get started, okay? So I appreciate you taking that deep dive and just going beyond what we may be used to, and trying something new, trying something different, and that's fine. Okay, it's good that you can dabble in something, learn something new, learn something different. You have an additional tool now that you can say, all right, cool. So if you need to do this type of thing, you go to that particular tool. All right, great, appreciate it. Anyone else?
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna put the register chat in the meantime. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure. Well, I did assignment number 1. I think that's the APA referencing, I believe. But what I realized was that when I submitted it on Moodle, and then just like before I confirm to say I'm going to upload it, I downloaded it to see is everything okay. But then when that happens, everything changes. I'm not sure if it's an issue on my part, or that's a thing. I'm not sure. But when I
Okay.
downloaded it, it's not like what I'm submitting. So I was actually about to email you to say, sir, could
Yes.
you check my work to see if it's what's expected or something like that. But
Okay, that sounds strange. You say, let me try and understand it. So you
probably
uploaded.
it's an issue on my part. I submitted it, but when I downloaded it, just before I confirmed, everything changes. Like, for example, the reference, all the format changes.
Okay, that sounds strange though. But tell me though. So I want to understand clearly. You upload it on Moodle and then you download it back to confirm that whatever you had uploaded is okay. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or before you upload it. What-
So like I'm submitting it on Moodle, but you know there's like a part that you
How are you
save, but
doing?
before I
I'm
save,
doing
so the
okay.
document is
I'm
still in
a
the little
little
window,
bit
and I just click on it to download it, just to check again. And then
sleepy,
I realize that whenever I
but I
do
have an
that, everything
assignment to
changes.
do
Yeah.
tonight. I'm
That sounds strange though. I
intending on
wouldn't be able to
completing it
just off the
tonight.
top of my head say, you know,
You see to see
what is
again.
going on there.
This
Why?
is it.
That sounds strange to me.
I'm putting next to in my
Um,
bag.
yeah, that sounds strange. Yeah, I'm not sure
How are you
what's
doing,
happening there.
Promise?
But I tried again, and it seemed to be okay. But I just thought of expressing that.
Okay, okay. I appreciate that. All right, cool. I saw another person with their hand up, or is that?
Hi, Gracie.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my question is, in terms of the audacity, if it has to be 1 minute, or if it will be penalized if it perhaps a little bit, it goes over a minute or so.
Okay, so good question. I wouldn't say penalize, but you really, when it comes on to audio, video, etc., you want to kind of limit it in terms of the size, and also there's a limitation in terms of the size too that can be uploaded. So I wouldn't go too far over that 1 minute. I know it's a small time, but you can do it. There are 1 minute devotionals out there.
Thank you, sir. I will endeavor. I will endeavor. Thanks.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Um, so let me just look at the chat because I think there are some comments. And guys, I put the attendance inside the chat, so you can go ahead and sign the attendance as well. It's in the chat for you. All right. So challenge downloading. Run out of space. Oh, someone having challenges with the space. Yeah, that can be a challenge if you don't have enough space on your device, etc. And one of the things that you can do, guys, I'll be honest with you, sometimes all the files pile up, and it's not even the actual files themselves, but actually, if you use you could use different tools to help you to clean up. They're what we call temporary files. And a number of things you can do to clean up those temporary files and even things that you have in your downloads folder and your recycle bin, they tend to add up and take up a lot of space. So sometimes you can just clean that up, and make sure you look at what is there first and make sure that it's not something you need. And as you go through, you can kind of prioritize the things that you keep, or try to have different kind of external storage, like flash drives, even your Google Drive or other cloud storage, to kind of help you. Because I notice these days,
Hi,
so easily your storage
Sadatu,
get filled up, right?
Ibrahim.
There's just so many things. So you have to kind of go through and prioritize, even on your phones too. I'll be honest with you, okay? Especially if you have WhatsApp, I'll leave it there. You just need to go through at some point in the semester, in the year, and clean up, right? Like if you don't do that and you're constantly just adding stuff, at some point it's gonna be, it's gonna be full. All right, so that's very, very important to note, as well as we navigate the space together, looking at technology, yeah, and learning. It's the real issue. All right. All right, so yes, there was a WhatsApp link that was shared. I can put that back inside the chat for you as well. And let me
Retouch
just
is
grab that
on,
one
so when I
moment
look too
and
rough.
put it inside there. And also the attendance. I'll just do this first.
Me
There
here.
we go.
If it has stamp.
All right. So another unit has been published for you, by the way. All right. So that's the WhatsApp group link. Another unit has been published for you. Let me put by the attendance and then I jump over to Moodle and we look at the next unit, number 2, and then we jump into our discussion shortly. One moment here. Okay, great. So there we go. The class attendance is there, so you can go ahead. If you have a challenge with accessing that, let me know, but it should be fine. Cool, based on what I'm seeing here. All right, so yeah, let's look at number 2, unit number 2. Want to make sure that you're seeing that on your side as well. This was recently published for you. Let me undo some of these things before I share this. Okay, good. Yeah. All right, so unit number 2, in this thing here, good. So unit number 2, of course, unit number 1 is already here. You can see unit number 1. You have some, let me just click on unit number 1 here and just show you unit number 1. Of course, you have discussion 1 there. You also have discussion 2. I think I may need to do some tweaking with discussion 2, but at least discussion 1 is there. Assignment number 1, and you also have assignment number 2, project 1, and project 2 information is there for you in unit number 1. But I recently published unit number 2 for you. And unit number 2, well, those are the practice activities you had from yesterday's class. And you still have some time to get those practice in. And yes, the practices are important, not just for you to practice, but also you getting some points for that. All right, unit number 2 looks at introduction to technology, and this is just part 2 of what we started. And once again, you can see some of the documents that I've shared with you. There's an online learning consortium. That's the OLC that you're seeing here, faculty playbook. Take a look at that. Contains some information that may be valuable to you. There's a Bloom's taxonomy and other information, the ABCD format for objective, audience, behavior, condition, and degree. The 3 domains, looking at Sakamoto, the cognitive domain and the affective domain. You have those there. Different tips in terms of the SMART objectives, right? Specific, measurable, etc. That's what the SMART stands for. We're going to jump into some of these things and that shortly. We also have 2 practices for you, the PowerPoint practice and also the Google Classroom practice. We're going to be jumping into use of Microsoft PowerPoint. I'll show you some are possible. I don't know if I'll be able to show you how to do all of that in this session in terms of use of animations and all these kind of things. But at least I'll whet your appetite for what is possible with PowerPoint. I mean, it's a simple tool, but there are so many things you can actually do with it. And then we jump into Google Classroom and you can see some of the things you need to get started on that. But those 2 practice activities are actually going to be available to you. I think they're available to you right now. But obviously you get a chance to practice closer to when I'm finished. Okay. So yeah, any questions on this in terms of looking at unit number 2? We're going to jump into a little discussion together here, continuing to look at technology and instruction, and then we segue into some demos. Okay, having a challenge with register. Okay, all right, so, well, tell me the challenge you're having though with the register. If you, okay, so Abigail, in the meantime, go ahead with your comment or question.
Sir, I have a question. Are there any expectations with the discussion? Like, do you have a word limit or I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think there are some limitations that I shared with you, or should I say the word limit? I was saying that's a soft limit and not a hard limit. But let me just take a look at that again, because I thought I would have shared that, but just in case it's not there, give me a moment to just see what
There, sir.
is here. Okay, it's there. All right. Let me just look at it again, because I know that sometimes on my there may be some things that are there, but okay. I think what I did, I published it inside here. So let me go inside here. Just click on discussion 1 here. And let's see, but it should be there actually. Maybe I could put it on the main page also, so you see it there. But either way, yeah, there we go. So you have some guidelines here, so you can look at this. And I think yes, if I look closer, yeah, absolutely. There are some limitations on the words here. Okay, so you can look at those. Once again, it's a soft limit, but still you don't want to, just keep to the limit because I still have to go through all of that. Try to make it manageable, keep it simple, right? So, yes, I see the discussion taking place. I see
Hi.
Grayson, I see Stephanie, I see you, I see your post, I see Alexia. All right, so that's good. Thank you. Appreciate that. And probably should just take some time to look at this and what you guys are discussing. So once again, the discussion is about, at least for discussion one, a drawback of using technology. Okay, so now let me see what you guys are saying. At least it just plagiarize. Okay, good. Plagiarism. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Grayson. Stephanie, is ability to reduce students' concentration. Okay, all right, good. Appreciate that too. Um, Implementing technology education is costly. Good, Alexia. Appreciate that too. And let's see. Mm, Okay, it increases important educators to learn proper usage of the material. All right, cool. Um, so that's very important. Yes. All right. Students could become too reliant on the technology. We could call it an over reliance, even cognitive offloading, and all these different terms are there. Yeah, even looking at AI, and there's other studies out there already talking about AI and how it can make you generative AI tools. Okay, it can actually make students' brain shrink in the sense of the whole idea of dementia later on in life because you're not using up. It's like a muscle, okay? So if you're not using that, and I know, my students laugh at me sometimes when I tell them, oh, I used to work out at the gym and all these wonderful things that we all, some of us like, oh, this is pretty cool to go to the gym and work out and all of that. But the truth is, if you don't use your physical muscle, like, I mean, your biceps and triceps, like, seriously, I see it all the time. It just gets smaller, it shrinks because you're not using it. So think about your brain, right? So if you're just cognitively offloading all of this thing, it's the same effect that you're going to have later on. And it's not Mr. Thomas
Listen,
saying that.
my
It is
song
actual
King Draco
studies.
Blessings.
Check it
I will
out for
listen to it in a
yourself.
bit. I'm in class
But
at the
yeah, we
moment,
can see all
so
of that going in.
that's
Thank you
okay.
very much for engaging so far in this discussion, number one. And once again, I'm going to encourage others to get started on the discussion forum as well. All right. So,
Oh, all
okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, appreciate that, Elizabeth, and also Grayson there in the chat. All right. Any other thoughts or comments? I'm going to jump into this part two of my presentation. And once again, you have all the information that I'm going to share with you is actually here in unit number two. Take a look in the resources handouts section or folder, and you'll be able to see all the things that I have there. All
Yeah.
right, great. So I'm going to stop this share. This is your Moodle platform once again. Let me stop this share, and then I'll segue now into what we're going to be discussing together. Once again, it's not a sermon, so I look forward to hearing your voice at some point. And yeah, feel free. You can interject too, but I will bring you in at some point. So let me go ahead and also share the course outline before I jump into that. So you can see again what we're going to do here. One moment. This is yeah, good. So let's share the course outline. Okay, so once again, we're going to be looking at these different topics we want to discuss an introduction to technology or continuation of that, part two. And we'll discuss in the mix of that now some learning theories. And I'm looking for you to also chime in, okay? And we will have some demonstration looking at PowerPoint and interactive lessons and also your learning management system. In this case, we're looking at Google Classroom and how to manage that space. There's some other word dimensions for online meeting tools like Zoom. We're using Zoom now, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and even WhatsApp, okay, and how we can actually utilize that. And probably will ask you how you're utilizing these tools as well in different ways. And also, one of the greatest thing to look at too is what are some of the drawbacks or even the issues that we need to be mindful of, whether it be security issues and privacy issues or whatever related to their uses. Okay, so I'm going to stop this sharing and segue into the discussion. All right, 1 second again. Bring that up, and then I'll share. Okay, great. So let's
Hello,
let's share this one with
Andreas.
you.
Where are you from?
Okay, good. So so we're looking again at technology and instruction. This is just part two, and we're just continuing. This is a continuation of something we started. I almost said yesterday, last class. Okay, yeah, it seemed like yesterday. All right, time moves so fast, and it's actually true. So, let's look at it. And let me just zoom this up a little bit. I think it's better that way. Okay, good. So we're going to be looking now at understanding the 21st century learners, um, looking specifically at some of those learning theories, and we'll get a chance to understand the characteristics of 21st century learners. All right, the characteristics. We also will look at some of the theories, as I said before. So, characteristics, theories, talk about information and instruction, principle also of effective instruction, principles, lots of principles here, all right? Of effective media utilization and also effective text utilization as well. All right, so those are some of the things that the authors Smallina, Luther, and Russell are going to be discussing. And we'll chime in to share our own perspectives based on your own experience and knowledge. I do value that as well. So I want to get the full perspective here. So, what is learning? Maybe I should ask you your definition. Is it as simple as the definition that is given here? What do you think? What is learning for you? Give me your own ideas, your own thoughts related to learning, right? If I say, have you learned? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Maybe I should start looking at some of the names in my participants list so I can call on some persons. Okay, so I see, Tasana, go ahead and tell us, what does learning mean? Your own definition. What is learning for you?
Good evening. Hearing me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Great. So for me, learning is a lifelong process. It takes it. It doesn't just happen. Spot on. It takes time. So it's a lifelong process.
Okay, absolutely. I appreciate that, Asana. Thank you for sharing. And may I just add, because I'm just gonna say what you're seeing on the screen, but I still want your own perspective because this can be a lot more deeper and maybe comprehensive than this. So they're defining this as development of new knowledge, skills, attitudes as individuals interact with information and the environment. All right, great. But what does that mean? What is knowledge? Even expanding on that, what is the difference between knowledge, wisdom, and understanding? One of my students, we had a discussion on that in a particular course that we did today, and we delve into the biblical aspect of it. We need to also talk about that because it's a part of your faith and what we call faith and learning integration. But let me hear from John Williams, Renice, and Oshin, and then Blessing in that order.
All right. Good evening. So if you ask me if I have learned, it meant that, well, for me, it meant that I would have understand whatever new knowledge you would have given to me or whatever skill you would have tried to teach me. It meant that I would have understood that skill or I would have now gained that skill. So that's what it means for me if you ask me if I have learned. So that's learning for me.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate that so much. All right, next, Renice, Oshin, Blessing, in that order.
I believe that learning is, well, what's on the screen, with using that knowledge, that skill, that attitude to cause a change or to develop the brain muscle, because that's really what, when we get information, we use it to, or we're supposed to act on it. We're supposed to do something with that information. You know, so that's what I think learning is. Just
Absolutely.
gaining information for change.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Ashin and Blessing in that order.
Yeah, I agree with my sister just now that just spoke. I think also, so I agree with what is on the screen as well as what she said. I think learning is about application of knowledge, and I say that to say, when you're younger, you think learning is just getting the knowledge, knowing. But for example, I'm a teacher here in Asia. I'm a Jamaican teacher in Asia. And the only way I feel like my students would have learned is if I'm walking on the corridor and I hear them using English.
Okay.
And so I think the perspective student to teacher changes or varies too. Like a student will say, we learn Excel because the teacher taught us. We don't have to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But probably the only way the teacher would say that the students learned is if she sees that they're applying the knowledge. So
Absolutely.
I think learning is the application of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Overall.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to Blessing and Keon in that order. Blessing, are you there? All right, so I'm not sure if that's Blessing, Vincent, where. Yeah.
Yes. Did you say Blessing?
Yes, Blessing.
Okay.
Wonderful name.
Learning to me, yes, Vincent, I'm the one talking now.
Hello, Franco.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm from Africa.
Awesome.
Learning to me is application of knowledge. What you have been taught, you are now applying it, making others to know that you were properly taught or you were not taught properly. It depends.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, we have Keon and Juliana in that order.
Good evening, everyone. I think we're just practically saying the same thing over and over. But for me, learning is really gaining knowledge and the skills that you would be able to apply to different situations. So it's about gaining the thing and then being able to use it.
Okay. And the usage of it, I guess, would suggest understanding of the knowledge that has been acquired, right? So it's one thing,
Franco,
to say you have knowledge, but it's another thing to say you have understanding. And then even going further, wisdom. That's on another level. I think even some aspect of wisdom is divine, actually. Well, true wisdom is divine, right? We look at Solomon.
Isn't it a bit late there
in
now?
the Bible.
Probably like
God
12,
asked him for
16
anything.
or so.
Imagine if God should come to you today. I often ponder about this, This is really something really, really divine because imagine you ask someone, as a parent, if I ask my children what they want, they're going to tell you all the toys in the world and all this kind of thing. Solomon said, I am but a child. Of course, he may not have been a literal child, but just to show you that in God's eyes, he sees himself. Because look at God. God knows everything. Who can teach the one who knows everything? God knows everything. But Solomon said, Lord, give me an understanding heart, right? So I can judge your people. That to me is very, very profound. Very, very profound. Wisdom, true wisdom comes from God. Let me hear from Juliana, and then we move forward from here.
Well, I just wanted to add that the application is validation of learning. It's the evidence that you learned something, but not necessarily the definition, if you get what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
That's so by you applying what you learned, you can then say yes, learning took place. But for me personally, I don't think it's the absolute definition. It is a part of the learning.
Part of it. Okay.
Yes.
Understand.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna look inside the chat here, and then we must move on because there's a lot we want to discuss. So, Grayson, you're saying always okay. The brain you were talking about. There's a muscle. Learning is gaining and imparting knowledge through different methods. That's Anne Marie. We have Sakina that's saying learning the ability to apply knowledge gain. Good. Renice was saying learning is being able to apply. So we see a lot with the application of that. Okay, and that's good. And then, of course, we could talk about what knowledge is. In most cases,
Do you
people
know
say the acquisition of
Kailash?
facts and
Where are they from?
information that is
Who is
processed and
Kailash
stored in your
in
brain.
an
In
individual?
some way, we can look at because we're talking about
You're a
this.
cat out the
You know,
door.
I teach computer
Me, your kitty.
concepts. We're talking about the whole idea of the computer system having different categories of devices, like what we
Jamaica.
call input devices
Yeah, I'm
that
from Jamaica, but I
collect
don't know that
information
person.
on your keyboard or allow
Or thing.
users to input the information into the computer, right? Keyboard, your mouse, etc.
Tomorrow
Call those
night,
input
but me want to do
devices.
at
Then if we
least
transfer that, once again, faith and learn integration, the
some
way
of
God
them
made
today,
us,
and then we have
we have
something due
input
Sunday
ports,
midnight
like
too.
our eyes, what
So,
students see. So
you
whether it's
know,
see on
we
the
want to do the
board or on the
assignment tonight.
screen or whatever,
I feel like I'm
that's
gonna do the
input for
discussion
them.
first,
Whether
like we
it's
go warm
text,
up and then
if
we do
they're
the
reading it
assignment.
or just watching a video, whatever they're
And
also
we do
hearing,
them
right? That's a
tonight.
part of their input port. And then, of
And then
course,
when
their
the
brain
assignment
is
go
going
on
to process that information
Wednesday.
in some way. We call that information
Good
processing
night,
cycle,
Franco.
right? That the computer goes through. In the computer, we have a CPU, central processing unit, that does the processing. For us as human beings, our brains, right? And then, of course, we output that through our output port, which is our mouths. We normally talk and disseminate, right, information. So we can look at different analogies in different ways as we discuss these topics together. But I appreciate your comments so far, and we're gonna move forward. So that's what the authors are saying, and yes, most of us agree
Quebec
with that.
blind
So
and
we'll just
also
move on, and we
Quebec
also
Union.
do agree that we all need to continuously learn. You know, one of the value proposition that NCU has, and I always tell this as a joke. Well, I shouldn't say a joke. I was telling students that, you know what? I still haven't graduated from NCU. I started and I'm still here because this is a place where learning never ends, right? We're still learning, lifelong learning, okay? Lifelong learning. Continuously try to learn different things, improve, and stay relevant. Today is not just about, it's not like an option, you know. You realize that they are projecting. You don't, once again, you don't have to take Mr. Tuma's word for it, that like a lot of the jobs that we have today will be gone, right? Because of new technology, innovation, all these kind of things. And AIS is a big part of that too, okay? So you really need to continuously learn, continuously grow to stay relevant and to be able to, yes, be competent in using the different tools and, of course, technology that comes out all the time. There's new technology being developed. I was telling you guys about the Consumer Electronics Show, CES 2026. I don't know how many of you actually went and checked that out, but there's a lot of technology tools, and yes, some of them can be used for educational purposes. All right, and I think we're going to be discussing some of that in our emerging technology section or segment a little bit later as well. But yes, the technology and media are there to support, right, learning. And there is a lot of technology tools out there. We won't even scratch the surface with, what we're looking at in the course. We don't even have time to go through all of them. But it definitely will be a factor in moving forward in the 21st century, because this is where the technology is being
I could
developed
just,
and
how are
it's
you? I could
changing
see you looking funny.
all the time,
Stressed out. Or are you
right?
thinking about what
So
you
because of
studying?
that, we have
So I'm in
access to
class now. I'm in
information. We have
technology
this
and
global
learning
community,
class. I'm thinking about
even
an
multicultural
assignment that I
experiences
want to
too,
complete
right? You may
tonight.
have a
So I'm
class.
thinking about that
Many persons may
assignment.
teach a class where you have different
So
persons from around the
and
world.
it's a little bit
Maybe
lengthy,
it
but I
could be
think I can
even a
manage it. So I was
multilingual
thinking
experience.
about that
And
assignment
that's
to
what I
getting it
said.
done.
I really want you guys to check out some of those technologies. I was looking at some of them. Some of them you probably would have heard of or been aware of before. For example, you could have literally be speaking to persons in different languages. So you speak, and the technology tool you're using, if you have a multilingual class, and in some cases you may have that, okay? Whether it be two different languages or multiple language groups. Imagine, on the day of Pentecost, faith and learning integration, where the disciples or apostles were able to speak, and different persons that were gathered there from different parts of the world, right, were able to hear in their own language. Actually, today with technology tools, it is possible. I know persons, for example, like Doug Batchel and others, those global evangelists, they use a lot of this, yes, AI and other tools, but there are even some augmented and virtual reality glasses and so on that can do some of these translations for you. So I'm saying there are also some implications for that. We're going to get down into some, different scenarios and use cases as we go along, but just wanted to kind of mention that. All right. So all right, let's move on a little bit more now. So we're continuing to look at the characteristics of the 21st century learners. And one of the things that we can see the authors are mentioning here is that we have we have learners that expect hands-on learning. All right, and this is something that we see a lot with our younger folks. Hands-on. I mean, think about when Steve Jobs came up with this idea of having this touch screen, this tablet. Okay, that was revolutionary. No, it's and that was a long time ago. No, it's commonplace. Our students, this is what they have grown up with, so they are used to the touching and the hands-on kind of learning experiences. All right. So that's very important to empower students, right? To want to explore, to want to, basically lead out in their learning. So we are more on the bench, so to speak, acting as the coach or the manager,
Hi.
right? And letting them lead out in their own experiential learning. And this is what the authors are saying. So the teacher act as a coach or facilitator, right? Give the chance to the students to, lead the way. And there's a lot of talk about metacognition as well. And this is the ability of students now to be able to lead out with their personal learning. We talk about personalized learning or even customized learning. And one of the things that we're going to also look at when we touch on generative AI tools, like how some different techniques we can use to be able to help with that process of personalized and even customized learning for each student, right? So guiding the student to assume responsibility for learning requires teachers do not only develop experiences that allow students to explore their knowledge, right, but also monitor, all right, the effectiveness and ensure that we create the right environment to facilitate this kind of learning experience. Part of this too has to do with motivation, and students want to be inspired and challenged, and so you find that there is a lot we can do with the technology, with the tools, to be able to do both inspiration, motivation, and even challenge them. So the critical thinking aspects are going to come out as well. All right, and you'll be surprised, and that's why, and I know this is very, very difficult. That's why there's a lot of talk about personalized learning. And yes, there is a lot of spin-off to that, self-paced and all these kind of things. But the point that we're making is that it's a powerful way to really get students at all levels, different learning styles and learning, you know, um, learning issues or challenges to be able to come up to speed with what you're trying to teach them. And one of the things that the authors also looks at, and we're going to talk about the ARC, we'll call it ARC's model, right? And this is Keller's ARC's model. Okay, so Keller describes these essential aspects of motivation that teachers can address with their in terms of designing their lessons. So we have attention, the arcs, A for attention, R for relevance, C for confidence, and S for satisfaction. And they're saying that for attention, we want to develop lessons that really
Just got to
grab,
see.
your interest or the learner's interest. All right, they may think, oh,
Yeah, I'm
cool,
going
this
to
is something
definitely
that this is something that
incorporate God in the middle of it so that
is
can get
exciting.
help
Is
with this
something that
assignment.
warrants
Because
my attention.
Kitty,
I must pay
have a
attention
nice.
to this. Attention grabbing, right? Then we have relevance now. This is ensuring that the information, instruction is meaningful and it meets the students' learning needs and goals.
Hmm?
It should be relevant. So it grab your attention, yes, with your different
Yeah.
ways, icebreakers, whatever you
Hi.
can use to do that. Did you know, and all these kind of things. Amazing facts. Okay, there we go. Confidence now. Designing lessons, right? That build students' expectation to succeed based on their own efforts. And ladies and gentlemen, often this means a lot to me because many times I realize that students sometimes will resort to other ways of completing their assignments because they don't have that confidence in their ability to really
Right.
do a great job. I'm telling you the truth, okay? So they say,
Yeah,
well,
but me don't want to
I
two of
can't,
them pile up on
I
me
can't do
tomorrow.
this thing. This is above me. This
And
is
we have
rocket
like
science,
one
okay?
next.
Um,
But
and
two
so
class me
they
I do one
choose to
time,
go on,
One for Monday, Wednesday, one
ask
for
Mary
Tuesday,
Jane or
Thursday. So
John
I don't
Brown
want
to do
every
their work for
assignment
them or
and
just
everything
copy
pile
their
up on
work
me.
or
So I
go
can take
online
till
and just,
tonight when I get something.
all of that kind of thing. So we have to help our students with that, meet them where they are at their level. And even one of the things I like to do too, I like to challenge students. So we talk about the motivation part, but I'll bring in the challenge part. So I give extra stuff that students will say, "Oh, can I do this extra or that extra?" I said, "Sure, there's some bonus points for it. That's fine." So you have a major project. Yes, great. This is the main project, but here are some challenges,
It's
or
going
here's
on
a
in the
challenge sheet.
background.
There are different levels of challenge, but if you want to go beyond that, fine. Still talking about motivation because different students are motivated differently. Uh, so that is also something that you can incorporate.
Turn it down a bit.
Satisfaction, right? They're saying that you want to address their intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, right, that they may receive, right, from the instruction.
No,
Some
yeah,
people
but
are
me want
motivated by
D
the things that
Savage.
we said
Hello,
before. There's
welcome.
intrinsic motivation, extrinsic, not getting into all the detail of all of that, but the essence of it is that you want to know,
What's
what
up? How you been? What
motivates
you
your
doing?
students. You should know your students so that you say, oh, guys, we're gonna have a competition, or oh, we're gonna give, the bonus point, or we're gonna give a little award at the end of the day. And in our department, we have a award ceremony each semester that we give different awards for students who do outstanding in
Good
different
evening,
courses
number
and
10.
so on. You can do different things. I mean, if you have a kind of some students are motivated by like a competitive environment where you can say, okay, we're going to give a prize, and sometimes it doesn't have to be one prize. You can have different categories. Oh, okay, best design or best, whatever. So that will also help. Multiple intelligence is another aspect of learners in terms of their characteristics. One of the things that studies that Howard Gardner did, because he was looking at, the fact that many times we use the intelligence quotient to measure the ability of students, and that is not fair. So he was dissatisfied with that, and so he came up with these multiple intelligences, right? So Gardner's, and you can see those there: verbal, linguistic, or logical, mathematical, visual, spatial,
When
musical,
you
with
listen my
or
song, leave a
technical,
comment with your
right?
honest opinion there. Okay,
Bodily or
I will.
kinesthetic,
I will. Can you put
interpersonal,
back the title for the song
intrapersonal,
I should
naturalistic.
search for
But what
in
he's
the
saying
chat?
is that Gardner's theories implies that effective teachers need to consider different learning abilities, right? of different students and recognizing that students vary widely in terms of their strengths and weaknesses in each of these areas. Okay, and so the best way to do this is to design lessons that actively address the range of learning abilities, considering students' perceptual preferences, strengths, information processing habits, motivational factors, and even physiological traits that may influence their ability to learn. Right? So there's a lot of things. And I know in a practical sense, many
I'm in
times it
class,
may
so I
be
have to
very
sit down and
difficult
focus. And
to
I'm
be
on
able to
my bed at that.
incorporate all
So I
of
can't stand
these
up right now.
things. Like there's
King
a lot
Draco
of theories out
blessings.
there. We were
Okay.
just looking at a few, okay, into our lesson for various reasons, right? But it helps to be
It's
aware
on
of it,
YouTube.
that you can do whatever you can do, right, without exhausting your ability, yourself, your mental, drain yourself really,
It's on
because
my
if you
other
have
YouTube
a
account.
hundred
Okay.
students in each class, they have six classes, like you could drain if you try to do all of that stuff by yourself. And this is where technology, once again, ladies and gentlemen, can play a role. We're going to look at how we can use it to augment or to help us out with some of these things, okay? So, as it
Hello.
relates to perceptual preferences and strengths, talk about information processing habits, physiological factors, I should say, learning styles, and all that. You're saying that your students vary in terms of their sensory, um, that's visual, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic, okay, gateways, so to speak. They prefer using uh, different senses depending on, I guess, the student's preferences.
Hello,
And
my dear.
also, right, it says that research has shown that most students do not have a preference or strength for auditory reception, right? Yet direction of instruction is the most prevalent, right, instructional practice. Okay, so
Are you on Facebook?
hands-on
I'm not
learning
on
as well is
Facebook. I'm in
something that some
class.
persons may prefer.
So I'm in
Hands-on
class right now.
learning,
That's I was telling you guys
engagement
that
involving
starting
tactile or
Monday to
kinesthetic
Thursdays we would do
experiences.
live
We're
where
going to
you
see, for
come to class with
example,
me,
we
but
teach
in the
on
meantime you do your whatever it
that
is you have to do, whatever it is on your to-do list. You just I keep you
our
company while you keep me company while I grow my watch hours, grow subs
students like
at the
more
same time.
concrete
So
experiences,
I'm in class.
rather than focusing on the how information is processed like in an abstract way. We're going to look at these types now as we talk about information processing habits. All right. Um, Before I jump into behaviors, okay,
Right,
there's
I'll meet
some
up, you know.
things that I want to discuss. So, as relates to information processing habits, though, we see where Smaldino just
I'm
went
on
along
Facebook.
and
I'm on
looked at Russell,
Facebook,
the
Abigail
fact that you
Campbell.
have what we
My
call
socials are in my
concrete
description
sequential
if that's what you're
learners, you have
asking.
concrete random learners,
Um,
abstract sequential, abstract random,
yes, for
right?
TikTok
And
and
these
Instagram.
learners learn differently. For example, the concrete sequential learners, they prefer direct hands-on experiences that are presented in a logical order. That's where you have the sequence. But the concrete suggests that they prefer to have more real kind of, experiences. So you tell them, oh, just like maybe you're cooking something. All right, step one, you do this. Step two, you put the pot on the fire. Step two, you put it on. All right, good. All right, you can relate to that. Then you have the abstract learners now, right, which are more focusing on, abstract in nature. So it's focusing on how they look at their thought processes and
Yeah, chat to
how
me
they
while
process
me I meet
information
off, you
and all
know.
that. So we're gonna look a little bit on that shortly, but let's jump into the learning theories
I
and
mean, I broke
some
off a
of the
figure, you
behaviors
tap
from
me and then you start
perspective,
chat to
right?
Nessa. Then me did that it and I
And there are
realize.
some implications for this. We have this guy, B.F. Skinner, and he is one of those guys, Harvard person, right? He's one of these guys that came up with this whole idea of behaviorism, and he conducted different studies of observable behavior. All right, he was interested in more um, voluntary behavior, okay, such as learning new skills, etc. We also remember, or some of us may be familiar with, like the Pavlov dog, salivating dog, where he would this bell, and after, well, when he's giving the dog food, and after a while, just by ringing the bell, the dog, without the food,
You see
the
me
dog will
crease off
start
your book off your
salivating,
gear and tap me and say, alright,
thinking
give me
that
sir.
what is going to
You
come
chat to
next
me
is
sir.
food.
So me put it down and
But
when me a chat me take
behaviorists
up your
really
IT.
focus
Honestly, me
on,
put it down side of
you
me.
know, seeing that change, behavioral change, to actually say that, you know, learning has taken place. So, for example, if you have a class and you're, for example, by citing the sources, right, in your submission of your documents, if you see a student that has gone through that process when they submit their work and everything is cited the way you taught them, you say, oh, cool, I can see that change in how you do things. So I can tell that, yes, you have learned something, right, about that. Excuse me, right? It's also something that focuses on reinforcement, right, and or rewards. So you give a reward, you know, even in children too. If you tell them, oh, if you do this, then you will get a sweetie or something like that.
Hi, how
Then
are
they're
you?
more
I'm doing
inclined
okay.
to go ahead and
Guys,
do this because, you
wish we
know,
could have
at the end of the day, they got
paid
a
somebody
reward
right now to
for
do some
doing,
work for
you
me.
know, that good deed or
Like my
that
assignments
good
and projects and
behavior,
everything.
right? So that's part of what they're saying there. Okay. Um, so that is it. So let's just move on to look at the constructivist perspective or cognitivist first before we jump into the constructivist. So we have the cognitivist perspective, right? And this is really the work of
Mostly
Jean Piaget,
Jean
that's a Swiss
Piaget.
psychologist, right? And they basically focus on the mental processes, right? That are mental models then, right? That
Guys, if you're
learners
new
go through
here,
to
please
receive. We
subscribe.
talk about it when we talk about the information processing cycle. It's kind of similar to receive, process, and manipulate information, right? So they focus on how people think, solve problems, and make decisions. Okay. For example, the behaviorists, just a comparative analysis here, the behaviorists simply state that practice strengthens the response to a stimulus, but cognitivists, on the other hand, create a mental model of the short-term and long-term memory, right? So they look at new information, how it's stored in the short-term memory, and you know how it is rehearsed until it is ready to move to long-term memory. Okay, there's still some reinforcement there because just like you're trying, you know, to learn a new concept, you have to kind of repeat. I guess repetition is a part of that process to be able to transfer that knowledge now into from short-term memory
Hi.
into long-term memory.
Yes.
Right? It's just that the focus is not so much on the behavioral aspect, but the you know what is going on internally. So like behaviorists will focus on maybe the outside observable behavior, while the cognitivist focus is more on what is happening internally, right, in the learner's brain, so to speak, as it relates to how they accept information,
You mean right now,
store it,
right
process
now?
it, and kind of reproduce,
Me
you know, what they would have learned.
have to check up your
All
class.
right.
Alright, what do you
Let's
buy
talk about the
Sunday? No,
constructivist now.
what do you buy Thursday? Me have,
The constructivist
I
perspective
think,
looks more
one
on
something due tomorrow.
ensuring that you
And then
have
by Sunday,
a
me
more
have like
concrete
3 or 4
experiential
something due
learning.
by Sunday.
Okay,
So
so
me no want them pile up on me.
it focuses on it or it emphasizes that the learners create their own under or interpretation of the world around them, but you as the teacher or you as the educator, the facilitator of learning now would create that environment, right, to facilitate meaningful learning experiences. So constructivists believe
Hello,
that
my
learning occurs
friend.
most effectively when
Hello,
students are
my
engaged in
friend. It's not
authentic
me.
tasks that relate to meaningful contexts. right? Real life context. So learning by doing, spiritual experiential.
When I was in postgrad classes,
The ultimate measure of
let me
learning
make
is
this.
therefore the
When I was in postgrad classes, I literally, like, it was a struggle for me to keep up in classes that were 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now I have 3 hour classes. I am fighting for my life. Hi, Marie. Hi, Stadio.
right, to help them to be able to grapple with the real world around them. Then we also have what we call the social psychology perspective. And one of those persons that was very much
I am easy to lift, but
into
hard to
this
throw.
is
What am
Robert Slavin, right? And this approach,
Mommy,
right, really looks
what easy to lift but hard to throw?
how the social, it looks at the social organization
Easy
of
to
the
lift but
classroom and
hard to
how
throw.
it impacts on students' learning, right? So it looks at the group structure, whether it's you have small groups or
May I think more down
large group,
Let tell me
etc.
answer it. Good
Right?
night. A feather?
And they
Bruh,
once again
for
talk
real.
about the fact that cooperative learning,
For
right,
real.
is
Me
better,
nothing
is
but
a
feather.
better way to learn than what we call competitive, maybe a competitive environment, so to
Welcome,
speak. So
Nathaniel. How are
that's one
you?
of the things that
How have you
Robert
been?
Slavin had looked at in his research, right? So in other words, teachers need to foster this kind of environment for the social psychology perspective to be able to create a collaborative, right, cooperative learning setting,
Oh, you
right,
beautiful.
in working in small
Thank
groups,
you.
etc. So that's one of
Shamar,
the
hi,
implications that
Alfred.
has here that he
Hello.
mentioned here, right?
Guys.
So
The rate at which my
in
eyes them are burn me.
looking
Me
at
need to take
information
one
and
now.
instruction, one of the
As
things
classroom,
that
may I take one now.
the authors are also saying here is, what's
Hello,
the difference?
Alfred.
What is the difference between information and instruction? Because information is all around us. Well, they're defining information as knowledge. That's how they define it.
Time
So information
is
is knowledge, facts, news,
6:45
comments, content,
p.m.
etc. that you can find that
Bedtime soon. Where are
is
you? I'm
all
in
around you.
Jamaica. Bedtime
Right?
soon
That's
for me or you,
information.
Nathaniel?
It's
Which
in
one
a
are you?
textbook, and you can find it on the web, etc. All right. It says that learners
Hi,
should
my big
not
sister.
be expected to be
Hello.
responsible
How
for
are
the
you? I
retention
am
or
a bit
use of
sleepy,
information
but I'm doing okay. How are
they
you
have
doing?
only seen or heard.
But I'm in class, so
Right.
cannot sleep.
When it comes
How's the
on to
work?
instruction,
Work is
they're
good.
saying that this is something that
Work is good.
deliberately
I am blessed though, but
intentionally
I'm just a little bit
arrange or
sleepy.
put
I
in
have two
such a way
assignments I want to do tonight,
to
and then
ensure that students
that's it. It's good
will
to see you. It's
learn.
good to see you
Right? It's not
too.
just a bunch of
Well,
information that's
see you on here.
thrown at different places.
How is
It's
Jamaica and your
deliberately
family? Jamaica
constructing and
is
designing
recovering
the learning experience. So
from
it's
Melissa. We're
everything.
going back into our
Right?
norm. My
So
family,
that's the
those who
instruction,
have been
and
in
the
contact with,
whole
they're doing
goal once
okay.
again is to be able
I'm
to
doing okay, Isaac.
impact the
From Kenya,
students,
we have like Kenyan
a
here.
change them
Well,
in
two
their
now. So
skill
welcome.
or knowledge or abilities in some way. Okay, it is deliberately arranged and intentionally so for the sole
Good
purpose of
night, my best.
ensuring that
Good night,
learning
Paul
takes place. Of course,
Maximilian.
using all the different
I love your voice. Thank you.
using all the different principles that are outlined here,
Thank
we look at
you.
the teacher's role in establishing, that learning environment to be able to create that learning experience that
How
students
is
can
your
actually
husband?
get the learning that is desired or designed for them. Okay. So the 8 principles that I have there is assess prior knowledge, and I think we all agree with looking at your prior knowledge, what you should know before coming into the course.
My regards to your
right?
prayer.
Or
Thank you.
the part of
Same
the
to you and
training,
yours.
etc. And there are different ways you can do that. There are learning different surveys that you can do or assessments prior
Love you
to that,
too.
or looking at their prerequisite course, looking at what they should have, in terms of grade level, they're coming out of one grade to another grade, and what they would have learned in that grade, etc. Consider individual differences, something that they also mention here, that learners differ in terms of their personality, their aptitude, their knowledge of the subject, even their love of the subject. I'll be honest with you, some subjects, some students just don't like. No matter what you do, they just don't like the subject, and that's it. So it
Watching
can be
you
hard
live
to change the
from
mindset.
Malawi. Have you
So,
ever heard of
even
Malawi?
just to get
The
around that
warm parts of
mindset
Africa.
before you
I've
can
never
even
heard of
start
there, by
the
the way.
process. So, those things are saying that
But it's
you should
nice. I'm
take
going
into
to.
consideration as well.
It's nice having
Looking
a
at
diverse group of people here.
objectives,
But I've never
right?
heard
So
of
stating the objectives,
Malawi.
learning
That
objectives,
almost sounds
and
like
once
an
again, there are
Hawaiian
different
or
kind of
parts of Hawaii,
methodologies that you can use,
or those
different
like tribal
styles and
areas. I never
principles.
heard
You
of
have
it
the
before.
ABC and different formats and so on. ABCD
Hello, do you
format.
love me? I love
You
you.
have the three
I love
domains,
you
the
too.
SMART, and many
God,
others
cause God
that you
calls us
can
to love
use to
everybody, you know,
threshold
so
those objectives, right?
we
In
have to love
a way
each
that
other.
is going to be specific and be able to see the different levels using the Bloom's taxonomy and all of that that is required. Also develop metacognitive skills. Okay, we talked about metacognition earlier, and so metacognition, once again, in this case, you're looking at the skills of selective monitoring, evaluating, and adjusting, right, your approach to the students'
I'm
learning
from
to
Jamaica. I
help
don't give out my
students
number.
with that
You
process,
can follow me on my
right?
socials though.
And
It's in
that's
my
one of the
description.
things that is a trend now. Metacognition is, even as we talk about the whole personalized, customized learning, etc. It also providing social interaction, right? Teachers and peers should serve their as tutors or group members that can provide number of interaction or support to their students, right? Learners can gain experience and expertise, right, when collaborating with others in and
Are you
beyond the
single?
classroom.
No.
So, additional
Hi,
support
Stefan.
that can help and incorporate realistic context. Okay, this will help even for like the constructivists too. So, learners are more likely to remember and apply authentic knowledge that are presented in a real world context. So, if you have a real world project where they actually this thing would work in the actual, it would also help. Okay, whatever that topic or subject area is, and they're saying that we should engage in this case too relevant. There's a link there. Engage students in relevant practice. So the most effective learning experiences are those requiring students to practice skills that build them towards the desired, sorry, to build them towards the desired outcome, right?
Hi.
So if, for
Battery saver
example,
is
you're
on. You
teaching
need to plug
a
in the
math
laptop.
class and you want to make sure that whatever they're practicing is going to lead them to that particular outcome, and you can make it practical. It could be. I remember I was doing a class with a
Black is
former
beauty.
teacher,
Black is indeed.
and he made us
Yeah,
go
I don't mean nobody till
outside.
otherwise. You're
Well, we have
beautiful.
something, well, that has blown down now because of the hurricane. The
Black,
steps to Christ,
blue, white,
and
pink,
we had
yellow.
to do a whole heap of different
Whatever color you
measurements,
were
and
made by God to be, you
in
are
a sense, I
beautiful
could
just
see
that
the
way. And God
real
loves you. I
life
love you guys.
application of that math,
So yeah.
because sometimes when you're doing math, your teacher may not tell you like how can this apply in a real world situation, okay? But he actually said, look, this is what you're going to do. So it's not something you could have just go online and just copy something. No, you had to go out there, do the measurements and calculate this and see how this works and all of that kind of stuff. So there are different ways you can actually make those, you know, realistic, bring that realistic context in play. All right, and engage students in the relevant practice. Both of those kind of link together. Offer frequent, timely, and constructive feedback is very important too, because students want to know how they're doing and so they're on the right track and all these kind of things. Okay, so I think Small Dino, Luther, and Russell are right on target in terms of the principles that will help teachers to be more effective as we navigate the 21st century learners space, and as we mere serve as mere, or should I say, not mere teachers or facilitators, but more coaches and supporting that learning process, right? More like a support, encouraging, inspiring them, motivating and challenging them to move forward. You can do it. Or maybe you could even say, even to a cheerleader in a
Hi,
sense
Gavin.
that you inspire, you cheer them on, let them know you're in their corner, right? And they have your support as they move forward. All right. All right. I see some comments in the chat. Let me just put that. Okay. Still feel a way about math. You're saying. Okay, Abigail. Yeah, but it's true. I'm telling you what I've experienced as a student, because trust me, I did some math. I did up to like calculus 2 and some abstract algebra and all kind of different things. And I'll be honest with you, I did not know how those could be applied to computer science, like what I was actually doing at the time.
Bonjour.
Okay. So I had to kind of do my own little research. I mean, the teacher don't necessarily tell you these things, okay? So I had to do my own research to see, how can this apply, or aspects of this apply to what I'm doing? Some students don't even think about doing that. They just hate the subject and that's it. But if you can find a way to say, okay, let me know what area or career you're interested in. And as a teacher, you say, did you realize, or do you realize that, you know, this particular subject
I'm gonna be a
this
host
or
for
that
that,
or
definitely.
whatever, right? So trust me, I've seen the difference when I tell aspects and how this can be applied in their particular career field. It makes difference. They feel that, oh, okay, this is not as irrelevant as I thought, right? And they pay more attention to some of the
I'm
things that
declaring
you're
that
doing.
over myself.
All right. So I hope that helps a little bit. All right. So let's move on a little bit to the next set of concepts here, but pretty much we have looked at most of it so far. Uh, Small Dina, Luther, and Russell are now looking at effective technology utilization, media, and tech. So let's see what they have to say about the effective technology utilization. And they're just saying what we have been saying so far, right? We, as teachers, we want to use the technology in an effective way, right? It should guide students to learn. Okay. We should use the literacy that we have mentioned as relates to the national educational standards for students, right? And they're saying to ensure that we incorporate some of those in terms of what we're using in our class, in terms of the technology use, and that students use technology also to communicate their knowledge and skills. So there are different ways it can allow them to share their knowledge and skills. Portfolios are good. You create your websites, maybe have them share something. They're excited about that because they want people to see what they have been. There are different ways you can share and collaborate and endorse that as well. As it relates to media, effective media utilization, right? You're talking about the whole idea of accessing, understanding the media on creators themselves, because because we have the tools, the technology is available. Not just once again, it used to be that just like you think about you're pouring knowledge, like a cup, you're pouring something into a cup, okay? It used to be that way in terms of that perception, but no, today is not that way because you have so much information all around us, okay? And so you can, instead of you as a teacher then creating all the content, you can empower your students to create content because the information is there around them to be able to use to create different content that is meaningful. And sometimes, when you give them the chance to create the content, right, and then you even give them a chance to create their own rubric, evaluation rubric too. You'll be surprised to see sometimes that is even more motivating because they incorporate aspects into how they create their content that make it more meaningful to them. Still, once again, looking at the concept of personalized learning, but we're taking what we call even to the extent of what we call a flipped, maybe a flipped classroom approach too. Yes, the flipped classroom approach also means that teachers, yes, you create a content, maybe in an asynchronous mode, you make that available on the LMS or something, and then students can go and view it at any time, anywhere, and learn at their own pace. And that's great too. But also empowering your students to, once again, comes back to metacognition, motivation, all these kind of things. Give them that ability, make them feel that, you know, they can contribute
Almost to
constructively
plug in the
steering
laptop
to
down.
their own learning.
Forgot
Create
about that, you know.
environment, give them the tools, say, hey, here you go ahead, knock yourself out. Give them the guidance, give them some, some scaffolding and all that kind of wonderful things that you know, but give them that autonomy. And you will be surprised to see sometimes that person who you thought was not interested or just, not doing the work, they're very confident or they're very involved, okay, in the learning
See me
process.
count.
So that's something that you can think about. If you have been doing that, great. If not, you can incorporate it too. Also talk about text utilization. Yes, there's a lot of information around us in different formats. Right? They talk about too some of the advantages and limitations, and some of them would be availability. Text-based material is already available. That's an advantage. Right? And the flexibilities that purposes, right? Portable to so many different ways to get access and to move that around, whether it be on a flash drive or you have your different cloud facilities and all of that. So text information is lightweight too. It's not that heavy in terms of like audio, video, that. So you can store. It's not going to take up too much space. User friendly too. It was properly designed, easy to use, and economical. They're saying here, okay? Relatively inexpensive to produce text and to be able to utilize it. Some of the limitations they mention as it relates to text now is that you have the reading level limitation. The major limitation of text materials is the reading level needed for comprehension. Some students are non-readers. Okay, so we have different kind of learning styles, and you have, for example, visual
Hello.
learners, auditory learners,
Gracias,
you
Masiko.
may also have readers, and there are also persons who don't like to read. I don't know, maybe it sounds like should I say, the majority of a lot of the students sometimes seem like they don't like to read, right? But I'll leave that there. Memorization, they're saying that some teachers require students to memorize many facts and definitions. And this can be a challenge, guys. And as I said, to me, I've started to question some things because, truth be told, once again, I'm saying it as it is. Information is all around us. And if they want to find the information, they can find it. So do we still do things the same way we have been doing it maybe 100 years? Shouldn't we change this a little bit? Think about that. We're gonna continue that conversation, right? Even in light of generative AI tools and other tools that are out there. Okay. They're also
Mommy,
saying
want
the
sweetie in
whole
my bag
aspect
for
of
you.
like a one-way presentation
Sweetie
because
want
most text
earhead.
materials are not interactive,
2 in there.
right? It's
Take one
just
and give me
there, it's
one.
just text. But even with technology, it can become interactive. There's a lot of things we can do really to, if we want to be creative, because you could even have the technology tool like we just saw in,
School.
apart from speaking, it can read, right, in terms of like word. It can dictate and write your stuff, but you can also
May I use it?
read information, allow the computer to read it back to you. All of these are there for accessibility features for those who are, have different disabilities and all that. But you can take advantage of some of these to make things come to life. When we jump into PowerPoint, we're going to show you, how you can make some of that happen, okay, as well. Uh, They talk about curriculum determination as well, saying that sometimes textbooks dictate the curriculum rather than all right, often written to accommodate the curriculum guidelines of particular. In this case, they're looking at United States, like states and provinces or whatever. I don't know if it's the same. Cursory, not examining textbooks carefully and all of that. So they're looking at it from that context where you have some text information that maybe, some maybe the motivated in terms of getting this particular text versus another.
You want to see, sir?
Alright. But yeah, there are different limitations we know. But honestly, I think there's so much potential we have. Once again, the technology tools that we have available to us, even a simple PowerPoint, okay, has a lot of ways in which we can make the text, if it can interact, it can be more difficult for you to
See
read.
this start work back.
With technology, it's what I like. You can always zoom. There you go. It's too small, zoom in. There you go. It, it's so interesting that a lot of these guys are using this for a lot of the things that they do, okay? And you wonder, is it a bigger screen? To me, I haven't gotten so used to my phone. I'm sorry. I'm still that old school that if I'm going to be reading something, I have a glasses I'm using. It's easier for me to see it on a laptop. Okay, so I'll just come here. Yes, it can still zoom it on a phone. It's still
First time trying this
or it's
flavor.
still better for me to view that here on this bigger screen. So whichever way, yes, you still want to take those in consideration, and even if you're still using like the whiteboard and so on and so forth to write, you think of those different things. And yes, the background that you have. Usually, when you're creating, like text, you want to match, just like here. You want to match light against dark. So this probably should be a little bit darker, so you can see the white font that is here. All right, and so on and so forth. So think about that. Yes, the arrangement. Some persons are better at arranging text, like if you were creating a PowerPoint or something like that. Uh, you know, some persons would go even job than others, and all of that. But yeah. All of that. So one of the things that they're saying here in terms of evaluation again is you can use selection rubrics, and I do endorse the use of selection rubrics as well. It's a good way, right? To talk about different types of student materials that you can find out there. We talk about textbooks and different online resources and so on, right? A variety of them, and look at the literacy levels of students as well. Okay, so what are some of the things that we would have talked about in this session? Maybe I should ask some summary questions here, or answers or responses to these summary questions. So let me see who can help me out before we jump out of this segment. All right, so Dejeuner, can you help us out a little bit here, Louis? Tell us, what are the three characteristics that we would have mentioned, or you could just name one of those characteristics of 21st century learners. All right, I think Tyrone wants to help us. Tyrone, go ahead. Yes.
We looked at the multi intelligence.
Okay, we looked at multiple intelligences. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Alexia, I see your hand.
They want hands-on learning and multitasking.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. 100% for you. I appreciate that response. All right. Number two, can anyone tell me, we'll look at similarities and differences in learning theories, but just give me one learning theory that jumped out at you that you think, and maybe, how that will shape how you do things in the classroom. Anyone? Yes, go ahead. Yes, Blessing, Vincent, where? Yes.
Yes, yes. I am looking at the cognitive, metacognitive, that has to do with selective learning, social interaction, and in competitive development.
Keep our and for sharing that. Yes.
On the behaviorist perspective,
Trust me, that's an amazing thing for them. All right, they really appreciate that. So I see Anne Marie, I see Nadine, I see Abigail, and Tyrone and Joyling in that order. Yes, go ahead, please.
So one of the principles is consider individual differences.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Next person.
Access to better knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. That's also important. All right.
Provide social interaction.
All right. Thank you, Tyrone, for sharing that. I see some more hands. Yes, go ahead, Simone.
Oh, yeah. So the metacognitive skills with more personalized or
The camera is
customized learning.
focused on me. I don't know why it's happening.
Customized learning. All right. Thank you.